Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyapati Ashtachadeshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyapati Ashtachadeshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Oh Nityananda,
Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhagavatam ki.
Yay!
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yay!
Gaura Premanande.
Hari, 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 hari. Oh.
Hare Krishna. Welcome, everyone. All right, welcome to everyone except Kala Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hari.
Hey, Hari.
Is that Birches?
Happy to hear.
Yeah. Are you in Birches? Can you hear me? Okay. Hare Krishna.
He's lying. He's not happy to hear at all.
So we're on Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 11. 1, 7, 11. So please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunati Suhrit Satam Nashtaprayashvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Whew. Hare Krishna. Alright. Diving in to pure nectar. 1-7-11, the son of Drona punished. Text 11. Hare Ganakshipta Mathir Bhagavan Bhararayanihi Adyagan Maharakyanam Nityam Vishnu Janapriyaha. Srila Shukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that the child, after his birth, would not stay at home. Therefore he, Vyasadeva, impressed upon him the synopsis of the Bhagavatam so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. After his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of the Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poems. The idea is that generally the liberated souls are attached to the feature of impersonal Brahman with a monistic view of becoming one with the Supreme Whole. But by the association of pure devotees like Vyasadeva, even the liberated soul becomes attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. By the mercy of Sri Narada, Srila Vyasadeva was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Srila Shukadeva Goswami was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Srila Shukadeva Goswami became detached from being completely absorbed in impersonal Brahman and positively took up the personal activity of the Lord. Practically, he was thrown from the impersonal conception of the Absolute, thinking within himself that he had simply wasted so much time in devoting himself to the impersonal feature of the Supreme. Or in other words, he realized more transcendental bliss with the personal feature than the impersonal. And from that time, not only did he himself become very dear to the Vishnu Janas, or the devotees of the Lord, but also the Vishnu Janas became very dear to him. The devotees of the Lord who do not wish to kill the individuality of the living entities and who desire to become personal servitors of the Lord do not very much like the impersonalists, and similarly the impersonalists who desire to become one with the Supreme are unable to evaluate the devotees of the Lord. Thus, from time immemorial, these two transcendental pilgrims have sometimes been competitors. In other words, each of them likes to keep separate from the other because of the ultimate personal and impersonal realizations. Therefore, it appears that Srila Shukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees. But since he himself became a saturated devotee, he desired always the transcendental association of the Vishnu Janas, and the Vishnu Janas also liked his association since he became a personal Bhagavat. Thus both the Son and the Father were completely cognizant of transcendental knowledge in Brahman, and afterwards both of them became absorbed in the personal features of the Supreme Lord. The question as to how Shukadeva Goswami was attracted by the narration of the Bhagavatam is thus completely answered by this shloka. The saturated, stalwart Atmaramas. That is you. A saturated devotee. Okay, text 12. Parikshito Rajarsher Janma Karma Vilapanam Sangstam Cha Panduputranam Bhaksye Krishna Kathodayam. Suta Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Shaunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Sri Krishna and topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. Purport. Lord Krishna is so kind to the fallen souls that he personally incarnates himself amongst the different kinds of living entities and takes part with them in daily activities. Any historical fact, old or new, which has a connection with the activities of the Lord is to be understood as a transcendental narration of the Lord. Without Krishna, all the supplementary literatures like the Puranas and Mahabharata are simply stories or historical facts. But with Krishna, they become transcendental, and when we hear of them, we at once become transcendently related with the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a Purana, but the special significance of this Purana is that the activities of the Lord are central and not just supplementary historical facts. Srimad Bhagavatam is thus recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the spotless Purana. There is a class of less intelligent devotees of the Bhagavat Purana who desire to relish at once the activities of the Lord narrated in the 10th canto without first understanding the primary cantos. They are under the false impression that the other cantos are not concerned with Krishna, and thus more foolishly than intelligently, they take to the reading of the 10th canto. These readers are specifically told herein that the other cantos of the Bhagavatam are as important as the 10th canto. No one should try to go into the matters of the 10th canto without having thoroughly understood the purport of the other 9 cantos. Haribol Baba Sororuham. You are muted, but we're very happy to see you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. We're just about to finish the purport of text 12 of Canto 1, Chapter 7. Okay. Krishna and his pure devotees like the Pandavas are on the same plane. Krishna is not without his devotees of all the rasas, and the pure devotees like the Pandavas are not without Krishna. The devotees and the Lord are interlinked, and they cannot be separated. Therefore, talks about them are all Krishna Katha, or topics of the Lord. Text 13 and 14. Yidamrade Kauravasrinjayanam Virashvato Vidagatim Gateshu Vakodara Vidhagadabhimarsha Bhagno Rudande Dhatarashtraputre Vartu Priyam Dhranir iti sma pashyan Krishna Sutanam Swapatham Shirangsi Upaharad Vipriyam Eva Tasya Jugupsitam Karma Vigarhayanti. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasena, the son of Dronacharya, Ashwatthama, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered them as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least. Purport. Transcendental topics of the activities of Lord Sri Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam begin from the end of the battle at Kurukshetra, where the Lord himself spoke about himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, both the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are transcendental topics of Lord Krishna. The Gita is Krishna Katha, or topics of Krishna, because it is spoken by the Lord. And the Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha, because it is spoken about the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to be informed of both Krishna Kathas by his order. Lord Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the garb of a devotee of Krishna. And therefore the versions of both Lord Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Lord Chaitanya desired that all who are born in India seriously understand such Krishna Kathas, and then, after full realization, preach the transcendental message to everyone in all parts of the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity of the stricken world. Text 15. Mata Shishunam Nidanam Sutanam Nishamya Gauram Paritapyamana Tadarudad Vaspakula Kulakshitam Santvayan Ahakaritamali. Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. Tada suchaste pramrajami bhadre yad brahma bandho shira atatayana gandiva muktar vishikar upahare swakramya yatsnasyasi dagdaputra. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmin, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Purport. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth or usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife, is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he be a Brahmin or a so-called son of a Brahmin, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashwatthama, he knew well that Ashwatthama was the son of a Brahmana. But because the so-called Brahmin acted like a butcher, he was taken as such, and there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmin's son who proved to be a villain. Niti priyam bhavyu vichitra jalpai sa santvayitva chuta mitra sutaha anvadravad dangshita ugra dhanva kapidvaja guru putram ratena. Arjuna, who is guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such sentiments, or statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons, and getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwatthama, the son of his martial teacher. Tamapatantam savilakshya durat kumarahudvignamanaratena paradravat prana paripshur urvyam yavagamam rudrabhayad yatakaha. Ashwatthama, the murderer of the princes, seeing from a great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear of Shiva. Purport. According to the reading matter, either Kaha or Arkaha, there are two references in the Puranas. Kaha means Brahma, who once became a lord by his daughter and began to follow her, which infuriated Shiva, who attacked Brahma with his trident. Brahmaji fled in fear of his life. As far as Arkaha is concerned, there is a reference in the Vamana Purana. There was a demon by the name Vidyunmali, who was gifted with a glowing golden airplane which traveled to the back of the sun, and night disappeared because of the glowing effulgence of this plane. Thus the sun god became angry, and with his virulent rays he melted the plane. This enraged Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva then attacked the sun god, who fled away and at last fell down at Kashi, Varanasi, and the place became famous as Lolarka. Yada sharanam atmanam aikshata shranta vajinam ashtam brahmashiro mene atmatranam dvijatmajaha. When the son of the Brahmin, Ashwatthama, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, nuclear weapon. Purport. In the ultimate issue only, when there is no alternative, the nuclear weapon called the Brahmastra is applied. The word Dvijatmajaha is significant here because Ashwatthama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called a Brahmin, and it is not a hereditary title. Ashwatthama was also formerly called the Brahmabandhu, or the friend of a Brahmin. Being a friend of a Brahmin does not mean that one is a Brahmin by qualification. A friend or son of a Brahmin, when fully qualified, can be called a Brahmin and not otherwise. Since Ashwatthama's decision is immature, he is purposely called herein the son of a Brahmin. Ato pasprashya shalilam sandadhetat samahitaha ajanan api sangharam prana krishcha upastite. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. Purport. The subtle forms of material activities are finer than grosser methods of material manipulation. Such subtle forms of material activities are effected through a purification of sound. The same method is adopted here by chanting hymns to act as nuclear weapons. Tata pradushkritam teja prachandam sarvatodasham pranaparam abhipreksha vishnum jishnurvachaha. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his own life in danger, and so he began to address Lord Sri Krishna. Arjuna Vacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameka Dhuyamananam Apavargosi Sangshritehe. Arjuna said, O my Lord Sri Krishna, you are the Almighty Personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. If I'm remembering correctly, I think the cowherd boys said the same thing to Krishna when they're in distress, or somebody in Vrindavan was in distress, and they said, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. If anybody remembers. Okay. Purport. I'll read the verse again, actually. Arjuna said, O my Lord Sri Krishna, you are the Almighty Personality of Godhead. There's no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. Purport. Arjuna was aware of the transcendental qualities of Lord Sri Krishna, as he had already experienced them during the Kurukshetra war, in which both of them were present. Therefore, Arjuna's version of Lord Krishna is authoritative. Krishna is almighty and is especially the cause of fearlessness for the devotees. A devotee of the Lord is always fearless because of the protection given by the Lord. Material existence is something like a blazing fire in the forest, which can be extinguished by the mercy of the Lord Sri Krishna. The spiritual master is the mercy representative of the Lord. Therefore, a person burning in the flames of material existence may receive the rains of mercy of the Lord through the transparent medium of the self-realized spiritual master. The spiritual master, by his words, can penetrate into the heart of the suffering person and inject knowledge transcendental, which alone can extinguish the fire of material existence. Text 23. Samadya Purusha Shakshad Ishvara Prakrite Paraha Mayam Vyudasya Chitchaktya Kaivalye Stita Atmani. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. Purport. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita that one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord can get release from the clutches of nescience. Krishna is just like the sun, and Maya, or material existence, is just like darkness. Wherever there is the light of the sun, darkness or ignorance at once vanishes. The best means to get out of the world of ignorance is suggested here. The Lord is addressed herein as the original personality of Godhead. From him, all other personalities of Godhead expand. The all-pervasive Lord Vishnu is Lord Krishna's plenary portion or expansion. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms of Godhead and living beings, along with his different energies. But Sri Krishna is the original primeval Lord from whom everything emanates. The all-pervasive feature of the Lord experienced within the manifested world is also a partial representation of the Lord. Paramatma, therefore, is included within him. He is the absolute personality of Godhead. He has nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material manifestation because he is far above the material creation. Darkness is a perverse representation of the sun, and therefore the existence of darkness depends on the existence of the sun. But in the sun proper, there is no trace of darkness. As the sun is full of light only, similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, beyond the material existence, is full of bliss. He is not only full of bliss, but also full of transcendental variegatedness. Transcendence is not at all static, but full of dynamic variegatedness. He is distinct from the material nature, which is complicated by the three modes of material nature. He is distinct from the material nature, which is complicated by the three modes of material nature. He is Padma, or the chief. Therefore, he is absolute. He has manifold energies, and through his diverse energies he creates, manifests, maintains, and destroys the material world. In his own abode, however, everything is eternal and absolute. The world is not conducted by the energies or powerful agents by themselves, but by the potent, all-powerful, with all energies. Sa eva jiva lokasya maya mohita chetasaha vidhatse svena viryena shreyo dharmadi lakshanam. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation characterized by religion and so on for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls. Purport. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, descends on the manifested world without being influenced by the material modes of nature. He is eternally beyond the material manifestations. He descends out of his causeless mercy only to reclaim the fallen souls who are captivated by the illusory energy. They are attacked by the material energy, and they want to enjoy her under false pretexts, although in essence the living entity is unable to enjoy. One is eternally the servitor of the Lord, and when he forgets this position, he thinks of enjoying the material world, but factually he is an illusion. The Lord descends to eradicate this false sense of enjoyment, and thus reclaim conditioned souls back to Godhead. That is the all-merciful nature of the Lord for the fallen souls. Tatayam chavataraste bhuvabhara jahirshaya swanam chananya bhavanam anudhyanaya chasakrit. Thus you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon it. I'll read it again. I messed it up so bad. Thus you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon you. Purport. It appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees. Everyone is related with the Lord. He is equal to everyone, and yet he is more inclined to his own men and devotees. The Lord is everyone's father. No one can be his father, and yet no one can be his son. His devotees are his kinsmen, and his devotees are his relations. This is his transcendental pastime. It has nothing to do with mundane ideas of relations, fatherhood, or anything like that. As mentioned above, the Lord is above the modes of material nature, and thus there is nothing mundane about his kinsmen and relations in devotional service. Kimedam svetkuta veti devadeva navedmyaham sarvato mukamayati teja paramadarunam. O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it. Purport. Anything that is present before the personality of Godhead should be so done after due presentation of respectful prayers. That is the standard procedure. And Sri Arjuna, although an intimate friend of the Lord, is observing this method for general information. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Pritedam Donaputrasya Brahmam Astram Pradarshitam Naivasa Veda Sangharam Prana Bhara Upastate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death." Purport. The Brahmastra is similar to the modern nuclear weapon manipulated by atomic energy. The atomic energy works wholly on total combustibility, and so the Brahmastra also acts. It creates an intolerable heat similar to atomic radiation. But the difference is that the atomic bomb is a gross type of nuclear weapon, whereas the Brahmastra is a subtle type of weapon produced by chanting hymns. It is a different science, and in the days gone by, such science was cultivated in the land of Bharatvarsh. The subtle science of chanting hymns is also material, but it has yet to be known by the modern material scientists. Subtle material science is not spiritual, but it has a direct relationship with the spiritual method, which is still subtler. A chanter of hymns knew how to apply the weapons as well as how to retract it. It was perfect knowledge, but the son of Dronacharya, who made use of this subtle science, did not know how to retract. He applied it, being afraid of his imminent death, and thus the practice was not only improper but also irreligious. As the son of a Brahmana, he should not have made so many mistakes, and for such gross negligence of duty he was to be punished by the Lord himself. Nayashyan yattamam kinchirashtram pratyavakarshanam jahyastra teja unadham astragyo hyastra tejasa. O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military science, subdue his weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Purport. For the atomic bombs, there is no counterweapon to neutralize the effects. But by subtle science, the action of a Brahmastra can be counteracted, and those who were expert in the military science in those days could counteract the Brahmastra. The son of Dronacharya did not know the art of counteracting the weapon, and therefore Arjuna was asked to counteract it by the power of his own weapon. I Bo Bhaktasi Krishna Krishna. We're just on text 29 of chapter 7. Sutta Vacha Shrutva Bhagavata Proktam Palguna Paraviraha Sprishtva Pastam Parikramya Brahmam Brahmastram Sandare. Sri Sutta Goswami said, hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjuna touched water for purification, and after circumambulating Lord Sri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one. Sanghatyanyam nyam bhubayos tejasi shada sangrite avritya radasi ghamcha vavradhaterka vanivat. When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire, like the disk of the sun, covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. Purport. The heat created by the flash of a Brahmastra resembles the fire exhibited in the sun globe at the time of cosmic annihilation. The radiation of atomic energy is very insignificant in comparison to the heat produced by a Brahmastra. The atomic bomb explosion can at most blow up one globe, but the heat produced by the Brahmastra can destroy the whole cosmic situation. The comparison is therefore made to the heat at the time of annihilation. Jisvastra tejas tutayos trilokan pradahan mahat dayamana praja sarva samvartakam mamangshata. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire which takes place at the time of annihilation. Purport. The three worlds are the upper, lower, and intermediate planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe. And all the populations of all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvartaka fire. No planet, therefore, is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. Parajo padrava malakshya lokavrati karam chatam matam cha vasudevasya sanjahararjuno dvayam. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Sri Krishna desired. Purport. The theory that modern atomic bomb explosions can annihilate the world is a childish imagination. First of all, the atomic energy is not powerful enough to destroy the world. And secondly, ultimately, it all rests on the supreme will of the Supreme Lord. Because without his will or sanction, nothing can be built up or destroyed. It is foolish also to think that natural laws are ultimately powerful. Material nature's law works under the direction of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says there that natural laws work under his supervision. The world can be destroyed only by the will of the Lord and not by the whims of tiny politicians. Lord Sri Krishna desired that the weapons released by both Drona and Arjuna be withdrawn, and it was carried out by Arjuna at once. Similarly, there are many agents of the all-powerful Lord, and by his will only can one execute what he desires. Tata asadya tarasa dharanam gaurami sutam babandam arshatam raksha pashum rasanaya yatha. Arjuna, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper, dexterously arrested the son of Gautami and bound him with ropes like an animal. Purport. Ashwatthama's mother, Kripi, was born in the family of Gautama. The significant point in this shloka is that Ashwatthama was caught and bound up with ropes like an animal. According to Sridhar Swami, Arjuna was obliged to catch this son of a Brahmin like an animal as a part of his duty, dharma. This suggestion by Sridhar Swami is also confirmed in the later statement of Sri Krishna. Ashwatthama was a bona fide son of Dronacharya and Kripi, but because he had degraded himself to a lower status of life, it was proper to treat him as an animal and not as a Brahmana. Shibirayanini Shantam Vajvabhadvarupum Balat Praharjunam Prakupito Bhagavanam Bhujekshanaha. After binding Ashwatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to angry Arjuna. Purport. Both Arjuna and Lord Sri Krishna are described here in an angry mood, but Arjuna's eyes were like balls of red copper, whereas the eyes of the Lord were like lotuses. This means that the angry mood of Arjuna and that of the Lord are not on the same level. The Lord is transcendence, and thus he is absolute in any stage. His anger is not like the anger of a conditioned living being within the modes of qualitative material nature. Because he is absolute, both his anger and pleasure are the same. His anger is not exhibited in the three modes of material nature. It is only a sign of his bent of mind towards the cause of his devotee, because that is his transcendental nature. Therefore, even if he is angry, the object of anger is blessed. He is unchanged in all circumstances. Mainam patarhasi tratum brahmabandhum mamam jahi yosavanagasa saptanavadin nishibalakan. Lord Sri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmin, Brahmabandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. Purport. The word Brahmabandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of a Brahmana but is not qualified to be called a Brahmana is addressed as the relative of a Brahmana, not as a Brahmana. The son of a high court judge is not virtually a high court judge, but there is no harm in addressing the high court judge's son as a relative of the honorable justice. Therefore, as by birth only one does not become a high court judge, so also one does not become a Brahmana simply by birthright, but by acquiring the necessary qualifications of a Brahmana. As the high court judgeship is a post for the qualified man, so also the post of a Brahmana is attainable by qualification only. The Shastra enjoins that even if good qualifications are seen in a person born in a family other than that of a Brahmin, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahmin. And similarly, if a person born in the family of a Brahmin is void of Brahminical qualification, then he must be treated as a non-Brahmana, or in better terms, a relative of a Brahmana. Lord Sri Krishna, the supreme authority of all religious principles, the Vedas, has personally pointed out these differences, and he is about to explain the reason for this in the following shlokas. Anybody want to share anything at this point? Time is flying by. Okay, something on the chat. Bhakta Cassidy, fascinating that Krishna's anger and pleasure are the same, and that if he is angry, the object of his anger is still blessed. Very nice. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Whenever I heard that, I was just kind of appreciating the unchanging transcendental nature of the topic. You know, because in material life, it's like if someone's pleased, yeah, it feels good, it's nice. If someone's angry, then it's like, oh, it's bad. And it's so nice to be able to hear in such a way to kind of develop, like transcendental security in, in the Lord, but also, in His spiritual energy, and like by associating with that and hearing this in this way, like we can become fixed in that in our own lives. We don't have to be fearful by someone being angry at us or whatever, and we don't have to be overly attached or moved by even happy stuff, Matura Sparshas to Konteya, in Bhagavad Gita, tolerating both happiness and distress. And, it's like a testament to, by hearing about Krishna, how that develops in one's self, in one's consciousness. Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Share anything? I got another Zoom call at 7. So if nobody wants to share anything, I can read maybe a couple more. Text 36. Matam pramatam unmatam saptam balam striyam jadam prapanam viratam bitam naripum hanti dharmavit. A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul. Purport. An enemy who does not resist is never killed by a warrior who knows the principles of religion. Formerly, battles were fought on the principles of religion and not for the sake of sense gratification. If the enemy happened to be intoxicated, asleep, or so on, as above mentioned, he was never to be killed. These are some of the codes of religious war. Formerly, war was never declared by the whims of selfish political leaders. It was carried out on religious principles free from all vices. Violence carried out on religious principles is far superior to so-called non-violence. Soprananya para pranai prapuznatya grana kalaha tadvadastasya hi shreya yadashadyat yada puman. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. Purport. A life for a life is just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of another's life. Political morality is to punish a person by a death sentence in order to save a cruel person from going to hell. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit, because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. Such a death sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him, and it is said in the Smriti Shastras that men who are punished by the king on the principle of a life for a life are purified of all their sins, so much so that they may be eligible for being promoted to the planets of heaven. According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an animal is to be considered a murderer because animal food is never meant for the civilized man, whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. He says that in the act of killing an animal, there is a regular conspiracy by the party of sinners and all of them are liable to be punished as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly. He who gives permission, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of the foodstuff, and at last he who eats such cooked animal food are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Hare Krishna. No one can create a living being despite all advancement of material science, and therefore no one has the right to kill a living being by one's independent whims. For the animal eaters, the scriptures have sanctioned restricted animal sacrifices only, and such sanctions are there just to restrict the opening of slaughterhouses and not to encourage animal killing. The procedure under which animal sacrifice is allowed in the scriptures is good both for the animal sacrificed and the animal eaters. It is good for the animal in the sense that the sacrificed animal is at once promoted to the human form of life after being sacrificed at the altar. And the animal eater is saved from grosser types of sins, eating meat supplied by organized slaughterhouses, which are ghastly places for breeding all kinds of material afflictions to society, country, and the people in general. The material world is itself a place always full of anxieties, and by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay,
Jay.
that concludes the reading portion at least. So, if anybody wants to share anything, now's the chance, or that will conclude today's hearing session. So, Bhakti Cassidy, you missed earlier we heard about the saturated devotees. So, we realized that you guys are saturated, stalwart Atmaramas. So, Hare Krishna, all glories to your services. The saturated stalwarts, Atmaramas, and the Vishnu Janas. Hare Krishna. Well, this last purport we were hearing was telling me, sometimes as devotees, sometimes devotees need to work outside and manage their homes and stuff. But it says here, karmically, one who sells killed animals, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks it, he who administers the distribution of the foodstuff, and at last he who eats such cooked animal. So that means, if you are at a restaurant that sells meat and you sell it to somebody, you're implicated. Hare Krishna. Sometimes that may not be clear, but the way I heard this is that that's very clear. Of course, we do know that depending on a devotee's situation and whatnot, there is some protection from Krishna. I mean, even we have heard that in particular situations, one can even eat the meat if that's how you have to survive. But, that's different than doing it unnecessarily. So all these things, these kind of things will, at the very least, have an effect on our hearing process. Make it harder to hear. Our taste will go less. We want to chant less. We want to associate with devotees less, or even go away. Things like that. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Well, I really appreciate everybody coming and hearing. I don't really have too much to share as far as go on speaking too much, but very nice to hear. I mean, the more we just sit and hear Prabhupada's books, I mean, it's just like it's just profound. Especially at the same time, every day is really powerful. You know, just as like it's just so transcendental, and in my experience, it just keeps increasing. Like it's amazing. So yeah, I'm very much grateful. I notice a huge difference whenever there are people online or in the Zoom call. It immediately creates a different atmosphere from my side. If nobody's there, it's way different. Even if just one person is there, it immediately it changes. And Krishna, I think really. I was told by a senior devotee once that the descending potency doesn't really come with one person anymore like it did with Srila Prabhupada, but it really comes with the group. So when we come together to hear and chant, like Krishna's magic happens. That's really where the magic happens. Of course, we chant by ourselves. I'm here quite isolated. Why is everybody using the chat? You can talk if you want, but anyway, I do appreciate also the chat. But yeah, chanting by yourself is not the same. As soon as somebody comes, I mean, even just association through the phone completely changes everything. So association is just so powerful. All right, let me see if the chat is going off here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to say quickly again, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Kirtan's enlivening and the readings very nice. Grateful for the association. Thank you, everyone.
Hari, Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Hari. All right. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. All right. Oh yeah, I'm trying to read the chats here. I'm very glad this is the favorite time of your day. It is also mine. Buck Adams says that's awesome. Bhakti Cassidy says thanks again and again for reading Prabhu. I'm so happy to be a part of this group and be in your association. My apologies, I'm unable to speak at the moment. I'm in a restaurant. No problem. We're just happy you're here either way. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you so much. I won't keep everybody. I feel like I've run my lips enough here. So, yeah. Tomorrow, I plan on reading at the regular time. I do plan on being in New Vrindavan. So, that should be fine. The next day, I'm still figuring it out. So, I thank you for your tolerance. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hari.
Hari.
Hare.
Hari. Hari. Hari.
Hari, Hari.
Hari.
Oh.
Hari. Hari.
Hari.
Hare
Hari.
Krishna.
Hari. Hari.
Hari.
Hari.
Hari.
Jai Ho.